Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Sammy and today I'm going to be discussing something that I've covered in my other videos. It can need an entire video to itself and it's something I should have probably started with, which is living with anxiety. Now, a common misunderstanding is people who don't suffer from it think that those who do can't leave the house. And that's not true at all. It goes off what type of anxiety you have, your situation, things that are going off in your life, that sort of thing. So, I don't know, maybe you have performance anxiety. That's not going to stop you from leaving the house. That's just going to stop you from getting up on stage and performing. Maybe you have separation anxiety, which is going to stop you from being in the house alone. You're going to need to be with somebody constantly, and you're more likely to go out rather than stay in. There's so many different types of anxiety, there's long-term and short-term. Maybe you've just had like a massive accident, so you're going to have anxiety relating to anything around it because you've all of a sudden lost, control of something that you once had. Like if you broke your leg, you feel like you're going to have lost control because it's going to stop you from doing things. So you'll experience short-term generalized anxiety. For me, I suffer generalised anxiety as a whole. I was given the diagnosis of generalised anxiety because various different things affected me, but then at the same time, other things that would have categorised me as a specific anxiety didn't. So, for example, at first, my counsellor thought I might have had performance anxiety because I struggled in exams. I wouldn't be able to do like solos and stuff, but I would still be able to perform in a sense, where I'd be able to get up on stage and do stuff. I did taekwondo and I was able to do all my grading stuff by myself. I'd be able to do a dance solo on stage or act sololy on stage. It was mainly exams that stopped me or singing solos that stopped me, which meant I didn't have performance anxiety. And then they thought maybe, it was something else, and it was one of those things, I tick a few boxes for each type of anxiety, but not either enough or the symptoms or things that would categorise you as that are worse than others I didn't quite tick. So I got given generalised anxiety, and this tends to be different for everyone. For me, it tends to be on what is going on either around me or at that specific time to whether or not I suffer from my anxiety. As well as some days I will wake up and randomly be in a very low stage with it, not be able to do stuff. And then sometimes it can just hit me. I could be at a lecture or out with friends, and it would just all of a sudden hit me. I'll get this overwhelming feeling, and I won't know what's caused it or what it is. And I guess everybody deals with it in their own specific way. Some people counselling works. I've not really found it that effective. Some people have therapy. Some people have medication. Now, for me, the medication worked in terms of I didn't have that many panic attacks, and I found it easier to control my anxiety. But it also made me feel really numb, and I was struggling to feel pretty much any emotion. I felt kind of zombie-like on some days, like I wasn't actually present. And then I had a really bad health reaction towards them after being on them for about 8 months. And it was really scary. I didn't know what it was. I went to a doctor and they advised being taken off the medication to see if that's what it was. It turned out it was, so now I can't have any of the medication. And I was told that I was very lucky to have not gone into hospital or worse. But yes, it works for some people. A friend of mine was suffering extreme short-term anxiety after an accident, and it worked for them. They didn't get any symptoms. It helped keep them calm. And after, I think it was like 3 months, they were able to come off them gradually and they were perfectly fine. One thing I would advise though, if you do go down a route with medication and it does work for you, I would advise finding an alternate solution or something to help with it, because the medication doesn't help you cope as such as it blocks you. So you'd need to find something to help you cope with whatever you're going through, because if for whatever reason you do come off your medication, because they do advise you not to be on them long term, if you can help it, you know, you might have what I experienced when being taken off mine, which was like a tidal wave of everything. For about 4 or 5 weeks, I was having pretty much non-stop panic attacks. I was experiencing everything at once that I'd blocked over these like 8 months. So I would highly recommend finding something alongside of medication to help you cope. You know, maybe something major has happened, so you take the medication to numb yourself enough to find a way to cope and then come off the medication. I would recommend medication, like medication by the doctors over any other form of drugs or alcohol. I was on propranolol as my main one. But there are others, but I would highly recommend prescription medication over anything else, just for everything. Like, you know, what I'm trying to say is I wouldn't go for illegal drugs that can get you addicted, because that's extremely bad for many different reasons. I would also, because anxiety medications can be quite addictive, especially to those who suffer really bad anxiety, I would highly recommend having regular appointments with doctors as checkups. For me, because I have other medical issues, I had appointments every 3 months to make sure the medication wasn't affecting like my blood pressure or my iron levels and stuff like that, because I have a history of random anemia rather than like an overall thing, and my family do tend to have quite low blood pressure, so I was being checked, and they also advise that you take counselling alongside just to make sure you don't get addicted to it. But yeah, for me, medication didn't work, counselling hasn't worked. I did start therapy just before lockdown, but then because of lockdown, I had to cancel it because I struggled over the phone with it, because I don't really like picking up the phone. I don't really have anything that helps me as such. Some days nothing works, some days just putting TV on works or listening to music. Sometimes breathing techniques help calm me down. You know, sometimes just stand outside for a bit of fresh air. I've not found a long-term solution. I've not found something that tends to work all the time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it starts to work, and then when I kind of need it, it doesn't. And I don't know if it's psychologically I'm telling myself that these don't work because I'm scared of getting into a relaxed state to calm me down, or I don't know. Maybe I've, blocked blocked something mentally. I'm not sure. Maybe, stuff does work for you. I'm lucky enough that I found someone who can calm me down, and their voice alone, and I don't care what they talk about, but their voice alone can calm me down. I don't really know how I'm supposed to offer help on this situation, because like I said, everybody is different, everybody suffers differently, everybody has different forms of anxiety. I've been dealing with it pretty much my entire life, and I got told from a young age that it would be something that I would grow to be able to cope with. In a sense, I would grow out of it because I'd find ways to cope to the point where I'd automatically be doing these things to cope and wouldn't really experience it unless something extremely terrible happened. However, that was not the case. I suffered with various different things growing up, and I never really found the one thing that helped me. And I'm kind of at that stage now in life where it is hard to learn and develop things because I am pretty much fully developed in terms of like brain functionality and that with becoming an adult. It is something that is so much easier to learn and develop as a child, because you're still developing as a kid, and I think schools do not tell kids this enough, and it's more the fact that you don't want to like freak the kids out in terms of trying to say that some people deal with it mainly because they their imaginations are going to run wild, and another thing that they have it, and they could make themselves believe that these have them, like they have it, and can eventually give it to them, which I understand. But yeah, I suppose if you find something that works, stick with it. If you find that one person that helps you, do not, under any circumstances, let them go. It's something that has affected me quite a lot in life and has stopped me from doing many things. It's something that has changed and developed with stuff that I've gone through. And it's something that people don't like suffer with. They don't really understand in terms of, a lot of the things I've been told is, oh, you'll just grow out of it, or, just grow up. There's no need to, worry about this, worry about that, cry over this, And I feel like having those things said to me has made it worse, especially because a lot of the times it has been people who are supposed to be there to help you that have said this to me. But I want to say this to you. If you do suffer with it, or know somebody who suffers with it, whether this has been long-term, short-term, I don't know, bad, maybe you are one of those people that struggle with it every single day in terms of, constant panic attacks, not being able to do things. Maybe you're just one of those that has it, where it's just bad on the odd days like me, and overall, you can live with it. But if you do have it, if you know somebody who has it, if there is one thing to go away from this, you are not the only person with it. You are not the only person that deals with it. You are not crazy. And I say this because you do feel crazy, and people will make you feel like you are crazy, because 9 times out of 10 you don't know how to put what you're feeling into words. A lot of the time you'll just break down crying for no reason. Panic attacks and anxiety attacks can be scary, especially if you've never had one before and it's your first one, and you will feel crazy. You are not. It is a normal emotion and feeling, and everybody has it. Some people suffer with it worse than getting a diagnosis. Some people only get it short term over like a bereavement, an accident, an exam. It's normal. Do not, under any circumstances, do something that can hurt you or others because of it. you will get through it. It might take time, you might need loads of help, you know, but you will get through it, and there's no need to do stuff that, can hurt you or hurt others. And I guess my final point is, you don't need to tell anybody about it. If you want to try and deal with it alone, go for it. I tried to do it alone and I couldn't. I've tried doing it with other people and I can't. It's just one of those things that I guess I'll have to face day to day. And you're not alone. I mean, if you feel like you don't have anyone that you can turn to, you can turn to yourself. You can talk yourself out of feeling the way that you do. Like, you know that if something you are feeling or experiencing is because of your anxiety, you can talk yourself out of it. You can tell yourself that it's fine, it's just your anxiety, nothing bad's going to happen, But just know that there are other people out there. There are help-ons out there. I know this week has been Mental Health Awareness Week. I'm not sure if it's International Mental Health Awareness Week, but I know it has been in the UK. There are helplines, there are websites, there's apps. You can, you can see a counsellor or doctor, you can talk to your friends or teachers or parents or, I don't know, guardians or whatever. But a lot of these apps and websites are anonymous. One that I would recommend that I'm not sure if you can access it without being a university student, because I've accessed it through uni. It's called Big White Wall, and there's some help courses that try and break things down for you, as well as anonymous chats. Headspace doesn't really work for me, but that's one. Then you have like places to call, like Samaritans. You will find something that works for you. You will be able to cope with it in the end. I mean, you can always comment on this, drop me a message on my Instagram, the Sunflower Chain _Sammy. It's something that has been around for years, many years, but for some reason only recently gets talked about, and it's still not talked about enough. And one thing that I know, and I'm not 100% sure on statistics because they change every single time you try and look them up, but it tends to be men or boys that suffer with this that don't talk the most, and they tend to be the ones that suffer with it because for some reason it's easy for girls and women to talk about it. You're not alone, we can do this together. It's kind of something that's hard to talk about, especially those that suffer with it, because either A, we're not 100% sure how we feel and think ourselves because it's confusing to us, or B, it's something you're told is stupid and you'll grow out of it, or to grow up. Society has not been kind to this sort of stuff. At least, now things have changed in terms of we understand the human brain better. Could be worse. It could have been like 100 years ago where you'd have a panic attack and be sent to a mental health institute for electric shock therapy. So that's not going to happen now, thank God. It's something that's easier to deal with now because people have a better understanding of it. We still don't understand it fully. We're not sure if it's nature or nurture, Some people can put it down to hormones. However, these hormone imbalance is usually triggered by something, which would be the nurture side. And I guess on a final point, you're not alone. You don't have to feel like you're alone. You don't have to feel like you're crazy. There are other people out there. We all suffer it differently. You'll be lucky if you find somebody that suffers the exact same anxiety as you in the exact same way, and your exact same coping methods are the same. It's something that's hard, and sometimes it feels like you can't live with it. I mean, I struggle to do basic stuff recently, like going to the shop by myself because of everything that's going on, my anxiety has been quite bad, which many people expected. And people who don't usually experience it have been experiencing it lately. And I guess anxiety tends to be around the unknown. And those who suffer with it on a day-to-day basis, we tend to create bad scenarios out of unknown situations. And it could be as simple as unknown situation as, is the bus going to get there in time? You know, it's hard to explain, especially to those that don't have it. I mean, a friend of mine who suffers with it, I was trying to explain to her something that was going off. I couldn't put it into words, and yet she knew exactly what I was on about. But it's, it is hard to live with. You do have to look at it as a day-to-day thing. You cannot try and plan anything. It is something you have to work on day to day because there are unknown variables out there. You don't know what's going to happen within the next 25 minutes. And, you just have to take it one step at a time, one breath at a time. Make sure you do fill your life with people, you can trust, you can talk to, because it makes it easier to cope with. But one thing I will say is do not let it stop you doing anything. It's easier said than done, I know. I mean, I literally live in bed these past few days because it's been quite bad. But, don't let it stop you from achieving your goals and doing things. Maybe you just have to take one step at a time. Maybe there's a day where you can jump a few steps, and then there's another day where you take 5 steps back. Just don't give up on anything. Don't let the anxiety control you, because that is more overwhelming than anything. You have to take control, and you'll find a way to do it. For me, vision boards help, looking up at inspirational quotes help, music, filling my life with people that are supporting, and helping others for me tend to help. And I guess it's easier to give advice than take it. I mean, I have found that I am so much better at giving advice to other people than actually taking advice and doing stuff myself. And I guess if you help other people, by helping them, you do help yourself, because subconsciously, you are taking on board this advice. I hope that helps somebody somehow feel less alone, feel less crazy. I wish I had somebody that, would spin around to me when I was younger and tell me that I'm not crazy. But yeah, it's hard, and it's going to be hard, and there's going to be days that are worse than others, and maybe you can't think it could get worse than this, and then it does. But one thing I have learnt from experience is it is better to hit rock bottom and build yourself up than trying to stop yourself from reaching rock bottom, because then when you do, it'll be worse. So on that note, help each other, find a way to help yourself. It's hard, it's going to be hard, it will get better. So thanks for watching, see you next time, and plant a little love.